50-50, say, well, face it, Dan, copying 7,000 pages of top-secret documents and giving them to the New York Times has a bad ring to it. And so who knows how that would have come out. There have been exactly, by the way, 2 cases since, one of them now pending against the AIPAC, former AIPAC people who gave documents to the Israeli embassy, among others. Their case hasn't come up yet. And the one case in 1984, appropriately, was Samuel Loring Morrison, who was convicted without taking the stand. And I would have been convicted if I hadn't taken the stand. And so one person has been convicted. So the fear was to some extent fear of prosecution, but really it didn't get to that. Neither I nor anybody else thought, gee, should I do this and get prosecuted? On the contrary, we'd made this promise, and it was not just an ordinary promise. It was a promise to keep secrets about national security. Basically a promise, as we like to think of it, for the president, because we all worked for the president. To be more prestigious and important and gratifying, but meaningful. Helping the president protect the American people. So you promise the president you'll help him and you'll keep his secrets. We did promise that. To do otherwise was to break that promise, and that's what I eventually did. I made the promise many times, and I, in good faith, with no intention of breaking it. And I broke it, and that's what I'm asking other people to do. And if there's some core ethical principle of human life, you don't learn this on the job. You learn it at your mother's knee and your father's knee and your school and everything, and every peer group you've ever been in. Keep the secrets of your group, because otherwise you're not fit to be a member of that group. You are not trustworthy. You're not reliable. You're not eligible to be in any group after you've betrayed, quote, one. You've broken that promise. Now, people do, of course, tell secrets. In particular, a lot of whistleblowers in the Atomic Energy Commission programs have told about great dangers in that, and people have told about other dangers in like the movie The Insider, about the tobacco industry and others. Almost none for national security in terms of documents and revealing themselves. And I think a major part of that is this mystique of the promise they've made to the president, and the notion that they will be charged with endangering national security, even if by doing so, even though they know that what's being done is endangering national security and they're trying to change that. But they'll be charged with it, and that's not, they'll be called a traitor. And as I was saying to somebody on the Hill the other day, 2 days ago, I've been called a traitor a lot. And I can tell you that it's very unpleasant, and you never really get used to it. And I can very well understand this was somebody, top position, staff position in the Democratic side. I said, and I can very much sympathize with a politician who doesn't want to be charged with that, and doesn't want to have to explain in a campaign why he's not a traitor, or she's not a traitor, or cowardly, or helping terrorists, endangering American lives. Even if you know that it's the opposite of the truth, that it's the president who is endangering American lives, which was obviously true with the attack on Iraq. But he ran in 2004 on the fact that he protected us with this attack on Iraq, and the Democrats did not choose to challenge that. Although it was the opposite of the truth, and they knew that. Kerry knew that. That he endangered us. Did Kerry make an issue of that? No. Don't try to convince people that the president doesn't have our best interests. Well, he has them at heart, I concede that. But that his judgment of our best interests is terribly flawed. That's not a campaign issue. So, what I didn't realize at the time, and what I'm trying to bring to people's attention, including this person on the Hill, who it turns out that not him, but his boss, who was a congressman, had made another promise. And this one was an oath, a sworn oath. Every congressperson, man or woman, takes the same oath I took as a Marine lieutenant and as a State Department official and a Defense Department official. In other words, an oath I'd taken a number of times. And that oath is the same oath that every officer in the military takes, every congressperson, every official in the government makes the same oath. And it is not, and this is a sworn oath, so help me God. That's right hand. It is not an oath, it's the oath of office. It is not an oath to the president. And it's not an oath to keep secrets. And it's not an oath to the commander-in-chief or the Fuhrer or Caesar or to the flag. It is an oath to support and defend the Constitution of the United States, so help me God, against all enemies, foreign and domestic. I was just looking that up today on Google to remind myself of what the exact wording was, because the president's wording, I remember, was a little different. I wanted to get it straight. The president says, preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States. Every other official says, support and defend the Constitution of the United States, in both cases, against all enemies, foreign and domestic. By the way, Google informed me, the foreign and domestic business came in 1862 during the Civil War, when a whole lot of domestic people were perceived as having questionable loyalty to the Constitution of the United States. They were the Confederacy. So they put that in. But it had always been, and this is in the Constitution, that they should all take an oath to support and defend the Constitution. Now, I broke that oath in 64 and 65, and every week that I kept my mouth shut, when I knew that Article 1, Section 8 had been totally violated, that the Congress had been, which was supposed to decide on war, had in fact been manipulated and lied into that war, deceived, and that it was an illegal war and a lot of things were going on. There were a lot of illegalities going on, by the way, that I didn't know about, but other people did. Johnson was doing the same crimes that the president, our present president, has been doing since 2001. He has been violating the, as you know, probably the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act, FISA, which was passed in 1978 precisely because Nixon and Johnson had violated it, had violated the Constitution. So they said no warrantless overhearing. He'd been consciously violating that law since the fall, since September of 2001, and still is. And now Congress is actually, to its shame, purporting to validate a lot of that overhearing without ever having been told what it is. They don't know what the programs are that they have validated in various laws. Just recently, at the behest of Bush, it's exactly what Ford did when he pardoned Nixon for any crimes he may have committed without knowing what the crimes were and without investigating, without finding out at all what he was pardoning. Congress did the same just now. Well, they can't change the Constitution that way, actually. And the Fourth Amendment makes that new law totally unconstitutional, ridiculous. And they basically know that. Actually, Specter, Republican, head of the Senate Judiciary Committee, back when a year ago, when the Republicans had the Congress, said after hearings in which Attorney General Gonzalez had absolutely refused to answer his questions as to what the programs were. Leahy said, well, from what we do, Leahy also said it, but Specter said, given what we do know, the program is illegal and unconstitutional. Well, okay, onwards, what's for dinner?